Hi, this is Annette Sullivan from Lavender Thoughts. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to show you how to make a swing easel card. So this piece swings backwards and forwards, closes up flat just to fit in an envelope. I'll be making the measurements today in the metric version, but there will be a link to my blog post where there'll be a PDF where you can download both the imperial and metric measurements. So this is what we're going to do. So you're going to start with half a sheet of cardstock, which in our metric measurements is 21 by 14.8 centimetres. And the first thing we're going to do is to score it in half at 10.5. Then with long side along the top, we're going to move this so that it's at 1.5 centimetres. I'm just going to put a bit of tape on that for the moment, just to keep it there. And what we're going to do, we're going to turn this round and we're going to line it up at 1.5. Which might be a little bit hard to see. So if I just pop this under there, you can see the 1.5. And then we're going to cut up to 13.3. So if I just sit this under here at 13.3, I'm just going to cut from there to there. And then what we're going to do is move the cardstock along to 9 centimetres. And again, we're going to cut from the 1.5 to the 13.3. Make sure I've got that lined up. Okay. So then we're going to turn the cardstock 90 degrees and line it up again at 1.5 centimetres. And this time we're going to cut from 1.5 to 4.7. Just to there. And now we're going to move the cutting blade to 5.7 without cutting. And we're going to cut through to 9, which is where this other cut here is. Just move that along there and cut through to there. Okay. So then we're going to move it to 13.3. Hopefully you can see that in the top of the video there. 13.3. And we're going to repeat those two little cuts here. So we're going to go from 1.5 to 4.7. And then 5.7 to 9. So you're going to have, I missed a little bit of the cut there. So basically, oops, a little bit there. So you're going to have it, so there's that bit in the middle. Okay. So what we're going to do now is turn it back this way. Sorry, we're going to leave it this way. And we're going to line it up at 3.7. Let's tap it down again. And what we're going to do this time is we're going to score from the edge to the cut line. Let's make sure that it's lined up. And we know the cut line was at 1.5s. So we're just going to do that. I'm getting in the way. So then we're going to move the scoring blade down to the cut line there and score to the edge of the paper. So we're then going to move it along to 4.7. I will have a diagram in the PDF file to make it a bit easier for you too. So the 4.7 was where that cut came to before. And again, we're going to score outside our cut line. So now we've got those two there. And then we're going to move to 5.7. And do the same. Okay. So now you've got your score in half. Then you've got a score at both edges of the cut, and then another score down here. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we're going to fold the card in half along that score line there. Give it a good burnish. And then we're going to fold mountain, valley, and mountain. So that squeezes it up like that. So then your card just sits up like so. Now I usually like to tuck this end in behind there. So then when you sit it up, it's going to sit like an easel. Now, this particular one, we're actually going to have designer paper on it. And we want to start, I'm actually using designer paper for my art panel for this one. So what I'm going to do is to have a piece that is 14.3 by 10, and we want to actually just cut a 1 centimetre frame. So, not as hard as you might think. Sit it sideways again. So we're going to line it up 1 centimetre on this side. And we're going to cut from 1 to 9. And then we're going to turn it around and line the other end up at 1 centimetre. And do the same. I'm going to cut from 9 to 1. Then we're going to turn it, line it up at 1 again. this time we're going to be cutting from 1 to 13.3. So if you leave your cutter there, turn it around, line it up to 1 and 13.3 back down to 1. So here's our frame. It's going to sit around the card like that. Now this inside piece, which I'm going to use for my art panel, I just need to cut that down to 11.3 by 7. So if we cut it, sticky piece, cut it to 7. To 11.3. Now if we want to line up the pattern exactly, I probably need to cut a little bit off both sides. So we know that that is 12.3. So if we cut 0.5 centimetre off each side, okay, and then that's just going to fit nicely into there. Okay, so that's all the cutting done for now. We will also need a piece for the inside, which is 14.3 by 10, and we're going to decorate it all. So if we just start by putting our frame on. I'm just going to line that up. Step off that extra glue there. Just give that a moment to dry, and while that's drying, we'll just add our inside panel. Now I've put a strip of 1 centimetre strip of designer paper along the bottom and just some little decoration there. I'll just pop that in. And for our art panel, I have cut out some pieces using the Cheerful Daisies stamp set. So I'm just going to put that on there. And this is just the same multi-purpose glue, but just in a little needle nose bottle to make it a bit easier to put glue on these finer areas. I could have actually put some of this double-sided adhesive sheets on there, but I just wanted to show you how easy it is just to do a little bit of gluing like that. Okay, so we'll just pop that all about there. And just got this piece of greenery to go with it. A bit fiddly, I should have had the tape on this before. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that under there before we press it down. And make sure that I don't have any glue on these other pieces because we don't want them to stick on the outside of the card. And I think I might just leave it at that. I don't think we need those two. Okay. So now we can put this on the front panel of the card. And what we're going to do is we're just going to squeeze these up into your Valley Mountain folds again. Now that the designer paper glue has had a bit of time to dry. And there's our easel. Now to keep it up there, I actually want something to hold it there. So what I have done is I have put some flowers on die cut from the same Cheerful Daisy set, and just work out how far you want it to open. And I think possibly about there. So I'm just going to pop that there. And then you could also put a sentiment there if you want. I actually might leave that for the moment and possibly stamp on here. Now it'll be in my blog post as to how I finished it off. And then to complete it, just envelope, another strip of your designer paper and your flowers. And there's a quick and easy card using your designer paper, showing off your designer paper and some die cuts. Okay. So I've got another one to show you using the Seasonal Branches stamp set, and I wanted to do two so that you had a second chance of seeing the cutting, which can be a little bit confusing. And hopefully the written instructions will help you to go through that as well as the following the video. Okay, so this particular one was made with Pretty Peacock designer, with Pretty Peacock cardstock, and the designer paper is a new one called Bright and Beautiful, which it certainly is there. Okay, so let's start again. First thing we're going to do is to score it in half. Then we're going to move it over to 1.5. Stick that down. And we're going to cut from 1.5 to 13.3. So I'm second guessing myself here. Okay, move it over to 9, and we can go backwards from 13.3 to 1.5. And we can turn the cardstock around, line it up at 1.5. This time we're cutting from 1.5 to 9. Move it over to 13.3. 2, 3. Which is going to give us our lines on there anyway. And then cut from 9 back to 1.5. And of course that's not all we want to do at all, is it? Because if you do that, that's what happens. You actually cut the whole piece out, which you don't want to do. So let's start again. Now you see how easy it is to make mistakes. And we're using boho blue for this particular one. So let's try again. I can keep those pieces for another card, so that's not a problem. Right. 10.5 scored in half. Back to 1.5. And we're going to cut from 1.5 to 4.7. I'm going to lift that up and move it to 5.7. Right, sorry, I'm confusing everybody. On the long sides, we're actually going to cut from 1.5 to 13.3. Move it along to 9 and 13.3 back to 1.5. And we turn it this way, and this is where we don't want to cut the whole sides. Now, I've made quite a few of these cards, and I don't know how many times that I've done the same thing. Okay, so 1.5 to 4.7, lift it up, move it to 5.7 and 5.7 to 9. Move it over to 13.3, 2, 3. And we'll go from 1.5 to 4.7, lift it up, 5.7 to 9. Okay. So I've missed a bit there where I lifted it before. So if we just put that back in at 1.5, cut through there. Okay, so now we have our piece. With our bits to swing. So now all we've got to do is do the scoring. So we're going to line it up at 4.7. Let's start with 3.7, which is a centimetre before. So from 1.5, which is where the cut is, to the end, and come up and do the same here. Move it to 4.7 and do the same. And then move it along to 5.7 and do the same. Okay. So here we have our card. Fold it in half. score. Burnish that down so it's nice and crisp. Now this one I'm not actually having designer paper around the edge of it. I'm just leaving this one plain. So we can do our mountain, valley, mountain. But before we do that, we tuck the bottom back under. Now you don't need to tuck it under if you prefer not to. I just think it gives a better look with your easel. Okay. Now, for my art panel for this one, and again, it's 11.3 by 7. And I have sponged it with Balmy Blue ink. And then I have stamped the branches from the stamp set all over it with pecan pie. Stamped the leaves on white cardstock with old olive ink and die cut them and colour them in with old olive blends. Then I've used the mirror image to do the birds, because if you have a look in the set, there's only one bird there. And I will link to another tutorial I've done to show you how to do that mirror image, and coloured the birds with smoky slate and soft sea foam. So now we can just pop him on the card. Just let that dry, open it up. And then for the inside, I've just stamped the bird and some leaves and branch again, just for some decoration. Which I've done on the envelope too. And now if that sits up like that, all you've got to do is just go back and give this a good burnish along that line, and then that's going to sit up for you. And then this time I've just got the happy birthday wishes, and I have got foam adhesive on here. And work out where I want the middle of my card. And this time I'm just going to pop him in the middle. And to make that, I have used the handmade tag punch. Just punched it out through the middle, and then just chop the top and bottom off after I've done that. Okay, so that card was much quicker to do. So there we have seasonal branches and our cheerful daisies without that piece. It's envelope. And here's one I made. This is the one I showed you at the beginning, made with Let's Set Sail. And that's on a pool party. And it's stamped with Flirty Flamingo, Fresh, and Pool Party. So I hope you'll enjoy trying to make, well, not try, I hope you'll enjoy making these, and get back to me if you've got any queries, and I'd love to see what you make. Thanks very much for watching.